Hey guys, it's your girl Peachy here, and today we're eating a Tteok-bokki Burrito. I have, since it's getting near St. Patrick's Day, I have this Doritos lime, and I have these little jubes that I want to try out, so let's set up. Now these are coconut flavored. I thought they might taste like really good with the soda. Okay, I took the ice out because it was just to chill the glass. And then I'm going to take this. I got it off. And just you see the tubes in there? All right, I'm gonna open this up for you and give you a good cross section. I put mushrooms and hot dog, and I also put spring onions and potato in here. And of course there's the rice, the Tteok-bokki in here for you to see. Okay. All right, so what you see is what you get. I think it's pretty good. It's so good. I really like the rice cake in there. It tastes like it's really spicy. So yeah, mushrooms. Oh, and there's seaweed. Can you guys see that? There's seaweed on the sides, like wrapped around it. So seaweed, mushroom, Tteok-bokki, and hot dog, and potato. So I jammed a lot of things in there for you, just so you can like check that out. Will it stay up for you guys to see? Doubt it. There we go. All right. So. Tastes just like Tteok-bokki. It is so good. Really good. All right, I wanted to talk about the favorite I watched this weekend, and it was very interesting. It was very thought-provoking. It just was how often lonely and miserable people take their misery out in hatred on other people. I just thought it was very interesting because like it reminded me of working in the food industry or just working in general at the public. Everyone's tolerable until they don't get their way. Like people always tell employees, leave your problems at home. Like, I wish someone would tell the customers that. Like the misbehaved customers that, oh, you're coming undone, aren't you? It's so good. There's some potato in there. Some people just need behavioral therapy. This is how you should act in public. Oh my gosh. I'm eyeing my drink, probably wanting some. I've had friends too that have been like that, like towards me, definitely in the past. But thankfully, if you have a choice with friends to either make sure there's no seaweed in my teeth, you have a choice with friends to endure that behavior or confront them. And if they don't, like they either listen or they don't listen, and then you have a choice to leave them if they don't like change that behavior. You don't have a choice with employees. And then the favorite, Sarah is sort of, well, she's not an employee. Abigail is. Abigail's an employee of the Queen. And in order to stay that, she has to be her friend and her employee. So I thought that was interesting. Throughout the film, the queen displays a behavior that isn't acceptable at all. Queen rubber bands Sarah. If you don't know what rubber banding is, it's when you go off and ignore another person and then you come back, and you do this on purpose. So you go off and you do something else with another person to get them jealous, and then they come back. So that's like toxic behavior, and you do that on purpose. It's not always like, oh yeah, I'm taking a break and just like chilling. No. The queen does this because she hears Sarah has business to attend to, business of country, but the queen doesn't see that. She sees Sarah not paying attention to her, and that spirals her into doing all these crazy things to get Sarah's attention. And it also doesn't help that Sarah's really headstrong and blatant with the queen. For example, she says to the queen when her makeup's like crazy and your makeup makes you look like a badger. Instead, she could have said, your makeup's not acceptable for meeting these important people. And I can also see her saying, but you make a very cute badger. Because that's who Sarah is, and she has the right to be that way. I'm gonna try some of this now. Lime and coconut, good choice. I'm gonna fish out one of these jubes to try. All right. So you can see, this is the jube, and it is coconut flavored. Okay, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so Sarah has the right to be her own person, and so does the queen. What I'm saying is the relationship is like rendered toxic by the queen's lack of therapy for her mental health, her petty acts, but ultimately her selfish motive. And there's a lot of selfish motive in this movie. And I know Sarah says, oh, well, I love you and stuff. I'm not discounting Sarah's love, but what I'm really getting at is the queen doesn't, and a lot of people in this movie don't get it, because love is choosing to truly care about a person, not for a position, not for happiness, not for power. You choose to care for a person because the feelings that you feel for them won't always be there. They'll fade. And that person might not always make you happy. You shouldn't choose to love someone because they make you happy. In fact, I can guarantee that someone's not always going to make you happy, because like most everything on this planet, it fades, except for free will, choice. And you'll always have a choice to love in your heart and have compassion on your fellow brethren and like just others. That's not going to fade. You making that conscious decision to love that person and to have compassion on your fellow man, you know, or woman. I say man, I mean like everyone. Now, I'm not saying if you're in an abusive relationship that you should choose to stay, because choosing to stay and love are not the same thing. Or even if in a one-sided or obsessive relationship, you don't have to stay. Because you can choose to love and have compassion on someone and still call the cops on them in an abusive relationship. In Matthew 18:15, it basically says you should tell your family members about it or tell someone at the church about it. And then if they don't listen, they go to court about it. Basically take the court option. And then you can still choose to love that person for that. If you need to take the David approach, face your giants, you know? And you can still choose to have compassion on that person, you know, in your heart. And that looks like, wow, this person is choosing to be narcissistic, abusive, and to hurt me emotionally, physically, or like psychologically. But still going to choose, for my well-being, one of these options. And if you need to defend yourself, yeah, like I said, David approach, you can do that too. You have every right to defend yourself in a life or death situation. If you're feeling, you know, threatened, maybe not if someone's like yelling at you, don't just stab them. Just don't, you know, or putting that disclaimer in, you shouldn't do that. You can't come back to my video in court and be like, well, Peachy said, I'm like, no, no. Okay, you should do that. And if you're like a life or death situation, feeling threatened, then you take that option, or just defend yourself like the best you know how, you know, fight back. I could do a whole video on that, but definitely, you know. I'll eat some of this. I'm not trying to make light of what we were just talking about. I'm just really hungry. I'm gonna wrap this up and then finish eating. In conclusion, people who are toxic are usually lonely and miserable, and they have no understanding of reality because their misery clouds their vision. And that's what I got out of The Favorite, is she was so lonely and been through so much tragedy. She couldn't see what she was doing, that her habits were toxic for her. Also, lack of, you know, knowledge back then about eating disorders, grief counseling, and all that. But it clouded her judgment to her actions, her ways. You could see her mentally declining, all because she couldn't see reality. You know, she went through loss of 17 children. That's gonna do a toll on someone. But so yeah, that's my conclusion. And yeah, I hope you liked my thoughts on that. If I'm open to discussion in the comments, as long as it's not like, you know, toxic. But yeah, I thought it was a very interesting movie. I would love to know your thoughts on it. This is so good.